All right, welcome back to another tutorial or another video in this tutorial series. In the last video, we spent some time getting one of our filters set up for our schools table. It's not entirely done, but we made a lot of headway on it. In this video, we're going to finish that filter, and then I think we're going to make some changes on the back end so that we can use this filter. Since right now we're working on a quantity filter, as in a number of something, and our schools don't have our number of anything. So we'll probably end up adding a student table eventually, and then filtering on the number of students per school. But yeah, that's the plan. Let's get into it. So to start, one thing I noticed was when you open this, it's defaulting to Jack, which is because the default value says Jack, when it should actually be exact, which is one of the values up here. And the other thing is, well, there's a few things. Another thing is, if we refresh, it's still using the value up here rather than the display value, like is equal, is less than, is greater than. So we want to get that up here. To do that, I'm going to make a little method. Get method display value. And this is going to take the key, which is going to be a string, and it's going to return a string as well. And all it's going to do is going to get those method options, and it's going to find the option where the option value equals the key. And then we're going to return the option label. It's saying it might be undefined. So if option, return option.label, otherwise return nothing. And then down here, instead of putting the method here, we can just pass in the method. The method's probably a bad name for this. Well, no, it's fine. It's just the method value. So if we do a refresh, you can say by default is equal to 0, and then we can change it. Another thing is when you reopen it, it's gone, and when you're entering it, it's already updating this value before you click apply, which is kind of weird. You should only make that change once it is applied. So there's a few things. Is it? What do I have as value? Method and value. So refresh that. If I open this, change it, I open it again. Okay, there we go. So these values are staying here. And the final thing is we don't want the value up here to change until we actually click apply. So I think we actually just need to sort of duplicate these. Per filter item, there is the currently set one in the panel, and there's the applied one. So we could maybe do applied method and set an applied method. By default, this one's going to be empty, and this one's going to be, let's say 0 as well. Applied value, set applied value. And then here we go, apply filter is also going to set applied method to the current method in the input, or the dropdown, and then set applied value to the current value in the input. And this is what will display in the actual button itself as well. Applied method and applied value. Oops. What is name? Oh, the name of this filter, okay. All right, so if we refresh, we want to set the applied value to null to start. And this is number or null. There we go. Arguments of type number or null is not assignable to a parameter of type number. Why would the parameter to is not a number always be a number? Perhaps the better way to do this is to say this is 0 by default, but to say that only show there's applied value when there's an applied method. Applied method, and maybe we do both. And let's move this onto a multi-line. I thought I had the linter set up to change it when I save, but this is kind of ugly to look at. And we move this into a method. Get pill display value. It's always going to return a string. Grab all this. So if all of this, then we're going to return this. So if the method is not empty and the value is not a number, return that. Otherwise, return name, which is a prop, so it'll be there. And then we can just put this here, which is a lot easier to look at when you're looking through the HTML. So refresh. So by default, it's amount. And then if we come in here and this gets filled out, and this gets filled out, and we click apply, then the applied value says is less than 2. Perfect. And then if I reopen this, if I set this back to 0, how do I clear it? We'll have to figure out how to clear it. I'll look at Stripe's UI and see what they do. I'll always use that. Okay. So next is when we click apply, we're calling this apply filter method, which is passed in as a prop. Which is in this table filter bar. All right, we have 2 components in one right now. And all it does is console logs those values right now. Let's move these 2 into more files. I'm going to create a tables folder in our library because we're going to probably have a bunch of components used to create tables. We can move the table filter bar in there. Update the imports, yes. And then I'm also going to create, what do we call this right now? Filter pill, table filter pill. Actually, this one is only quantity filter, so let's name it specific to quantity filter. So quantity, let's just call it quantity filter. Table filter. If we just copy all this for now, put it in there, get rid of the filter bar, quantity table filter, rename this, get rid of the wrapper, get rid of the store, everything we're not using. Perfect. And then within here, we can also get rid of everything we're not using, which is a lot. Pretty much everything, actually. And now we can import our quantity table filter, put it here, the name of the amount, and we also apply amount filter. This is probably not going to be a library component because it's very specific to schools, but for now we'll leave it here. Actually, I think we should. Let me think. Well, how do we use it in school table? Because so whenever the filter bar, what's going to happen when the filter bar interacts with the table is the filter bar is going to say like the filter has changed, the page to grab more data, and then the data would pass into the table. So on filter changed, or essentially we're going to get like a page of data. Where's the data coming from right now? Schools, which is a prop. All the way up here, eh? All right, well we'll just see if we like that. But when the filter changes, we're going to say get school page or something like that. It's saying this prop does not exist. And the prop is going to be called on filter changed. Get school page. Oh, and I've already passed that in, so I guess I was already thinking about doing this. Okay. So now our table filter bar has to emit an event, or essentially call this. So I'm not sure what the naming convention is for React events, because yeah, it's not really an event. You're sort of calling the parent method, right? I'll think about that naming convention, or I'll look into it. But when we apply that amount filter, should this component be responsible for formatting the filter string? I think that's probably okay. Create filter string. And this, like so far, this table, to make this simpler, let's call this the school filters, school table filters rather than the filter bar, because right now it is very specific to schools. Can rename it. Yeah, update the imports. And we can also move it into here. Yeah, update the imports. Perhaps this is the component that should manage the applied values, right? So in our filter pill, we're saving all of them, but it might make more sense if the filter bar knows all of the applied filters on the filter bar and it passes them back down, like right here. So then we can say applied method is a prop and applied value is a prop. And these are both going to be strings. There we go. That feels better, I think. Applied value is going to be a number. Okay, and then this, the implementation of a quantity table filter has like the name of the thing you're filtering, a method to apply it, and then the applied method equals applied method, applied value. And then in here, we can say set applied method to the method, set applied value to the value. And then this create filter string is essentially going to go through all of these. We don't have use state. And it's going to create a string. So like let filter equals an empty string. And then if applied method is not equal to an empty string, and I'm already changing my mind. I think, okay, we're doubling back. Delete, delete, delete. I think this should be responsible for the values, but when we apply the filter, we can do that. When we apply the filter, this is where we're gonna pass the string, and the string is going to be something like filter we're gonna have to figure out how to pass that amount, and it's probably gonna be a prop, but it's gonna look like something like this. So I'll show you in a second here. And then here, we're actually just gonna get the filter. And then all this needs to have is the amount filter, set amount filter. And then we can just say if amount filter is not an empty string, add it to the total filter we're just going to use to filter the table. And then we can say on filter changed with the combined filters of all of the different columns. And this will make more sense. Missing return type doesn't return anything. But essentially what we've done here is now the quantity table filter, which is like the pill that manages all quantity filters. It manages the options, the methods, the the values, etc. And what it returns is just a string for filtering data. And then in here, the school table filters is going to implement a bunch of different table filters. We're going to have quantity and select and all this stuff. And it's just going to combine a bunch of strings and then send that to a table and say, here, these are the filters. So each component has like its own responsibilities. So if we just, what we can see on filter change calls getSchoolPage. Let's go to getSchoolPage, which is a prop as well. I forgot. Save that. And getSchoolPage is supposed to get called with the page number, which is not what we're doing. I'll just console log here for now. And you can see like what I'm trying to get at here. And eventually this will all make sense. Probably by the end of the next video, we'll have like a clear, distinct example of how these filters are going to work. So if I refresh, open up our console, clear it, got some errors in there, we'll fix. So we say is less than, let's say 3. We click apply, and it's an empty string because it doesn't work. Okay. So we clicked apply. It did this. It should have passed this to apply filter, which should have called this. What is it right here? There you go. So we're getting this string here. Amount is less than or equal to 2. And we should be able to pass this to the back end, and it will look at the base value and look at look at this amount field, look at this modifier, and look at the value, and it'll do all the filtering for us. And for some reason, it actually turns into an empty string. Oh, probably because this is asynchronous, so I need to wait for it to return. So by here, it's not actually set. How do you do callbacks on new state again? I don't think you really do anymore. Oops. Okay, so instead of calling this, I think what you're supposed to do is a use effect, which calls create filter string if any of the filter values change. So like if amount filter changes. That should work. Close all that. Sure is equal to 2. There we are. Prints the right thing both times. So we just have to wait for this value to get set, and then once it's set, use effect says, oh, this has changed. Now call create filter string, and it creates the filter string. Okay. So now I think next step is to, well, okay, actually. So we're calling on filter changed with a filter, which is getting called from the school table. And what should actually happen here is instead of calling getSchoolPage like that, it should be saying get page number 1, or is it 1 or 0? Get page 1 with the new filters that we just got. This is a string. So string. Yeah, and it's saying that that's not going to work because there we go. Where's the current page stored? Must be here. Because now this is failing because on change, it's probably trying to do like we need to get the current filter when we do that, but we'll get to that. So now this actually has a filter, which is a string, and get schools takes another parameter, which is that, and we can just plug that in right there. All right, let's see what happens. So let's do a refresh, clear that, clear that. We change the filter, we say get all of our schools where the amount is equal to 4, and it makes a request with amount underscore exact equals 4. And now on the back end, we just need to figure out how to use that. We can't yet because we don't have an amount field on schools. So I think I'm going to stop the video here. And in the next video, we'll add students, and as a table in the database, we'll add some data, probably just like through the admin panel, or maybe we'll write a script. We can get into that. And then once we have that data, we can display the value here and we can actually use this filter. After that, we'll add all of our other filters and we'll have a lovely, lovely filtering table. So that's the plan. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.